Hey guys, so in this one we're going to add some effects to our arrows, and then we can also calculate damage, including headshot damage, because I know most of you probably want to have that option. So first I want to do a couple of the adjustments, because at the moment there is few things. I've noticed that if you fire arrow and you don't hit anything, it is going to the end of the line trace, but it's so far away that your arrow actually looks like it's not even going to the crosshair. It's fine when you hit something closer, but if it's like really far away, it's just going to the left side a little bit, and then it's meeting the line trace where you can't even see the arrow anymore in the distance. So for that, let's just go to player and find this fire arrow function, and I'm going to adjust this end of the line trace, which will be only like, I don't know, 2000. It doesn't need to be more than this, because then when it ends it's still going to the end. If it hits something in the 2000 units, then it should be fine. And this way, if I fire arrow again, that's much better. It's actually going to the crosshair where I can see it, and then meeting the line trace. And obviously if you hit something, it's fine because it's aiming there where you're actually hitting. The second thing is, if I'm really close to the enemy, or if he's running at me, then I'll probably miss him, because we have set it up that it's not going to stick to his back where the crosshair is, because I'm like next to him. Which is fine, but then as I said, it's quite hard to hit him like this when he's running at me, and I'm keep missing arrows because it's firing there. I would just adjust it and lower this value. If you want to turn it off, that's fine, but then the issue might happen, which is why I originally set it up, is, let me try to see if I can recreate this. And it's basically when you are very close to him and fire at like shoulder or something, so the line trace hits, but right, this one here, can you see it? So my arrow this time it didn't hit. So when the line trace hits but it misses the body, it will fly to the right direction completely, because it's going from the point of my bow to that hit here, but it's missing him, so the arrow is flying there, and that's what looks really weird when that happens. And that might happen quite often if you're actually just shooting kind of like to these points that the arrow is not sticking. It's not easy to recreate, so obviously you can't see it all the time, but that's why I've set it up. So I like to have it at least 200, or maybe even, yeah, I'll leave it at 200, and that will be a little bit better for hitting enemies. And then let's just go into effects. First thing I want to do is just set up the arrow trail, so we'll see it better. It will have like a nice white trail behind it, and for that, I just saw it now. In the base arrow also, let's adjust this value, which is the velocity speed. It doesn't need to fly that fast. I'll do 4000 here, maybe even 3000. Let's see. I still want to be able to kind of hit that pillar there without losing too much velocity, or too much to gravity, kind of. You know, it's offset, it's falling somewhere here when I'm aiming here. So that is fine, I'll leave it as it is, as long as I can hit headshots from this distance. Yeah, that's alright. Okay, so for arrow trail, what we need to do is, let's create new Niagara system. This one is going to be very simple. Let's go to effects, right click, Niagara system, and just create empty Niagara system. And this one will be arrow trail underscore ns. Open it up, right click, add emitter, and this one will be minimal Niagara emitter. Here we're going to delete the sprite renderer, and we're going to add ribbon renderer. Ribbon renderer. And here we will just leave default ribbon material. That's fine. It actually looks nice. And then what we want to do is add spawn rate. So to the emitter update, just add new module. This will be spawn rate, and let's do something like 50. because the arrows flies quite fast. If you can see like gaps or it's acting a little bit weirdly, increase this spawn rate. I'll leave it probably at 50. Initialize particle. Lifetime we want to have only like 0.3. And then color, let's do, I know there should be a color mode on the particle spawn. We're going to do direct set, open it up, and I'm going to do 0.3 maybe as well. So 0.3 on the color and 0.3 on the lifetime. Save it. Let's go to base arrow. We're going to add it here so all of the arrows can have it, can inherit it. So let's do a Niagara system, particle system component. It actually created arrow trail because I have it selected. Okay, that's smart. I didn't know that. And so now we have it selected. All we have to do is deactivate it. So search for active, auto activate, disable it. And then when we shoot the arrow anywhere here, after or before collision, doesn't matter, we're going to drag it out and we're going to set enabled or activate. Maybe just search for enable. Then maybe active. Sometimes I don't remember exactly the nodes, so activate. And target is component. That should actually activate it. Is it gonna activate it? Let's try set active. Yeah, there we go. That might be better. So set active. And new active will be true. And then we will use this same node when we hit something. Because if you don't turn it off, when you stick it to enemies, let me just quickly show you actually. And let's test out if the arrow trail works. So I shoot it. Bam, there it goes. I had it frozen for a second. There we go. As you can see, there is nice arrow trail going behind it and disappearing straight away because we got 0.5 seconds. But if I hit this enemy, he is movable. So shoot 2 arrows to him and then let him move. You can see he's got the arrow trail going from the arrows because it's not off. So what we're going to do is, as I said, we're going to get this, set active, copy it, and just, I don't know where after, in the end we will deactivate it. So that's one effect. Then what we want to do is create some blood. So for blood, let's just create one more effect. Niagara system, and this one will be empty. And we will call it blood or arrow hit blood. Yeah, that's this bit weird. Blood splash. So it will be like a quick splash, not like when we're hitting with a weapon. And this one will be an S. Open it up. Here we're going to right click, add emitter, but this time we need to do burst, search for burst and do directional burst. Add it. And here we will change a couple of the things. So first emitter state, loop duration 1, spawn burst. I'm going to increase spawn count to like 150, there will be more blood. And particle spawn lifetime I'm going to decrease to like 0.5 to, it doesn't need to be random, we can do direct set and 0.5. Yeah, like that, even 0.4. Okay, and it's falling a little bit too fast, so I'm going to decrease the gravity to only like -50. Yeah, so it just splashes from the thing. That's good. Drag we can leave, scale color we can leave, solve forces and velocity is the same. Scale sprite. We can just go to sprite renderer, and then we do have one blood material already created. Let me just check it. Blood material here. It's literally just a texture connected to base color and opacity with surface translucent and default lit. So we have made it in one video. I just told you to do a texture, and we can do the same one. So this is blood material. Go to blood splash. Let's see what it will look like. Blood material. That's okay. Save it. And then we will go back to base arrow. And we're going to spawn it when we hit something. So spawn system add location. And what we're going to do for location is the location of the hit. I'm going to, I'm going to redirect this one because it's a long noodle. Since this is an event, we can't do it as variable unless we promote it to variables. So I'm just going to drag it across and then do one more here. Select both of them, press Q, and then connect this to location. So this is hit location, and then hit normal. This one here, we're going to connect to rotation. So drag it all the way across to rotation. That will convert it to X vector. So rotation from X vector, which will basically give us from which side we hit him. So this hit normal is kind of what side we hit him from, and that will give us the rotation that this component needs to fire from. So let's see if that works. The spawn system will be, what did I call it? Splash, blood splash. And the rest of it can be the same. Compile and save. And now if I hit this guy with the bow, there we go, I got some splash effect. Okay, I think it's splashing way too much or way too fast, so I'm just going to reduce it slightly. Let's go to blood splash, add velocity, and change it to 100, 200. Is that gonna be too low? 200 to 300. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, like a slight gentle splash going from it. Yeah, kind of like this. It's just a little bit too light, so I'm going to go to this blood. I feel like it's too red. I'm going to press hold 3 on the keyboard and click. Do a constant, and actually this one just needs to be black because then we can lerp linear interpolate. This one will be B, and we're going to press it to base color. That will just make it darker, but then we can adjust it here to the red preferably. Something like that. Apply and save. There we go. It's a little bit darker blood. Looks better. Just the cone is way too big as well. Cone angle, degrees, cone axis, distribution 0.2. Because I kind of like the speed, but min max. Can change the mass mode maybe, or sprite size. That will just be smaller, that's good. I'm just going to do 250 here and 350 in a cone. And cone axis will be, that needs to stay, and angle needs to stay. Yeah, probably just a little bit faster velocity. Alright, and that's for the blood. So we now have a trail and a blood. Obviously you can play with the settings, whatever fits your game. This is alright for me. Just it's going a little bit too far from the body sometimes. But we can add some drag to it or make it disappear even faster so it just splashes and disappears. And next thing what I wanted to do is actually calculate the damage. And we do have function for that in a combat component, except for it's tied to our line trace at the moment. So if you edit combat component, you can close this effects. What happens is, where am I? Here on the top. So this part of the function is when we looping through all of our damage types and then applying point damage and then we're resetting events. So what we could do is we don't actually need to do all of this here. We can make it into a function. First, drag out this hit result. That will be the input. And then what else we need as an input? We got damage causer, owner. That should be all fine. So just the input and then select all of these nodes. Hold shift and damage type. And we're going to right click and collapse to function. And this one can be called apply damage. Do we have something like that? Probably not. So apply damage. It's much cleaner this way. And then let's see what we need to connect. This one probably we don't need. We can get it inside. Control and X. Go inside. And here, for now, just paste it. And we need to get max stat from this one. Then we can delete this input. Hit and hit info is the same thing. We can just delete one of them. I'm going to delete hit, and this one will be hit result because I think that's what it's called by default. And then we're going to paste it here and here. And then what else do we need? So if we are applying damage, it's the owner, max stat, and reset hit events from the combat component. One thing that might happen here is, I've noticed when I was testing some things, is that if we kill the enemy before all of the damage types are applied, then the last one, when it needs to reset the hit events, this component won't be valid because we have destroyed the actor, or it was basically invalid. We need to check if this target here, component by class, is valid. So we're just going to drag from here and do is valid and connect it to uncompleted and only reset it if it's true. Again, that will just prevent some issues. Compile and save. And this is the hit function. That should work same way as before, but now we can reuse it. This one just needs to be disconnected. And one more thing, we're actually not applying the damage modifier, so we can do it from different sources as well. So this damage multiplier, delete it from here and just drag it to the input node, and this one will be damage multiplier. And also I'm just thinking we also need to do custom damage causer, because if we're calling it from the bow, will it know the owner? No, it probably won't. So damage causer, we will input it here and do damage causer, and this will be actor object reference, and connect that to damage causer. instead of this owner, and you can delete. And then go back to event graph, and here we're going to get owner after line trace. That is the damage causer. Damage multiplier we will now connect as a variable. So get it here and connect it to this one. Now let me just quickly see if it works the same way, if I didn't mess something up. Pick up some weapons. Hit this guy. Okay, that's working fine, as you can see. And for the arrow, for the bow now, what we need to do is let's go to base arrow, and after we have spawned this system at the location the blood, we can now get the whose combat components damage causer. So we need to get this damage causer, or is it reductor? No, it's damage causer. So damage causer, and we're going to apply damage. Alright, apply damage is probably one of the default nodes. So what am I doing? We need to get component by class anyway. Sorry about that. So get component by class, and then we will get combat component, and from there we will do apply damage. And now there is only one function, even though there is a default one with the same name. So apply damage, and here we need hit result, which we have from this line trace component. So drag out hit and connect it all the way there to hit result. You can just move it down somewhere. That works. And then damage causer we have here, and damage multiplier should be 1 basically when we're hitting, but as I said, we also want to do headshot damage, and that is very simple as well. All we have to do is here to select, and the wildcard, this one index, will be if this bone name, drag it out again all the way to the back, equals head. So all of the enemies should have a head bone, even though it's something weird, like, I don't know, boss enemies and everything, because it's the actual bone, you know. Your enemies should have a head, unless it's a ghost that doesn't have a head or something, I don't know, I can't think of anything else. If it doesn't have a head, then you can't score a headshot, that's it. If it does have a head and you hit it, we connect it here, so if it's true, then this will be a modifier of the damage. I'll do 1.5, so 1.5 damage. And if it's false, if it's not a head, it will be 1. And now if you compile and save, let's see if that works. And let me hit this guy to the body. There we go, 40, I scored a crit. Scored another crit. What is my crit on the bow? Seems to be so high. I scored 3 crits, 7. Strange. Okay, that's working quite fine. He's doing the reaction, he's got the blood, but the sound is obviously from the flesh hit, because that is the sound we have set inside the combat component when we take damage. So we need to change that as well. And if I hit the head, 27 was the default one. So if the crit was 40, it was multiplied. Let me try one more time, and I'm just going to score headshots. 58, 58, 58, and 18 to the body. So you can see the damage multiplier is there. Normal crit was 39. Also, why is my critical hit chance so high? Stats component. Alright, because it's set to 50. It's fine for testing, but I'll leave it at like 25. Compile and save. So you can score a critical hit, and on top of that you can give it a headshot, and that will multiply it a lot. And as I said, that is working fine. The last thing I want to do is fix the sound. So at the moment we have it hard-coded inside the combat component when we take damage. So this one here. Flash hit, play hit events. So we got this event and everything is done once, and we got play sound, flash hit. So what we want to do is we want to check what weapon we are actually applying this hit with, and then get the sound that we want to play. So we can set it up on the weapons, but then we only got the damage causer. So the way we can get it is, let's first go to items BP. So blueprints, items, open items BP. And here we're going to just add new variable. We already got a weapon sound and block sound. Weapon sound is the swoosh when you miss. And we want to add one more, and this will be hit sound. And we will be able to set it up on each weapon. So what I'm going to do is, what is it, sound base, I think is the one we have set everywhere else. If you want to set it to sound cue, that is a little bit better, because then you can quickly create the sound cue, and you can add a modulator with which can randomly increase the sound volume and pitch and stuff like that. So that is probably a little bit better, but I'll just leave it at sound base. And then if you compile and save, we can set it on all of the weapons. By default, I'm going to change it to that flash hit, so I don't have to change it everywhere on each weapon. So this will be flash hit. And then let's say, for example, on bow, not on arrow, careful, we want to change it on the weapon we're actually applying damage with. So that's not arrow, that's bow. So golden bow. Here I'm going to change it to, well, I don't have one, so I'll just have to add it later. I can't even hear it. Mining sound. Yeah, there we go. For now, just so we can see the difference. So mining sound. And now in the combat component, in this event here, we're going to get damage causer, and from it we're going to get component by class, and this will be combat component, because that's where the main hand reference is stored, what we have equipped. So we're going to get main hand, and we're going to play what am I doing? Flash hit sound. So get hit sound, and then connect it here. And this way I should be able to play the same sounds on all of the weapons. So pick up these ones. There we go, that is the same. And if I equip the bow, I got the mining sound. Right, so that's how you set up sounds, and now we can have a customizable weapons. You can have a different hit sounds. So if there's some weird weapon that shouldn't have the same flash hit sounds because it's just shaped differently, or if it's a big maze, you just do different hit sound. So that's working fine. And then the last thing I wanted to do is just go to base arrow, and in the end we can just do delay. And let's say after about 10 seconds I want to destroy actor, so it doesn't stay there forever, because then we can have 100 arrows in the enemies and it just won't look very good. So usually you have it in the game, after some time they disappear. So now if I just hit this guy, missed. Headshot, there it is. 27 to the body, it's 18, and you can see the arrows are slowly disappearing. There is only 2. If I wait a bit, gone. And that's the one that is gone. I missed this time. I missed again. Can't hit him. I'll get behind him. I'm ready for you this time, come on. Boom, and it falls nicely when he's running. Alright, cool, so that is all for this video. We now have a setup damage, we do have some effects, you can just add some sounds for actually hitting with the arrow. And yeah, that is almost done for bow and arrow. Now we're just going to make some improvements so we can, as I said, we can actually roll while we're holding the right mouse button and then go back to that state and fire arrow, or like press left mouse button and then as soon as it finishes drawing the bow it will fire the arrow. So same as we got like input buffering. So hope you like this one and I'll see you in the next.